dudes and dudettes. How are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to Telechazzy, the first one of the new year, you know, the first Telechazzy of 2022. And in case the name doesn't already give it away, and if you're unfamiliar with how my channel works, Telechazzy is the segment on this channel where I discuss the TV shows that I watch, you know, whether old or new, current and already finished, you know. And today is going to be a remake of one of my very first official Telechazzys on this channel, you know, but it was actually a long time ago. It was so long ago that I actually think it was still in the Mixer playlist, you know, and also it was like I used to record videos without a timer, you know. I have a timer today on my phone here, you know, on my lap that shows me how long the video is getting, you know. That's how I control, because if I don't have a timer, I'll probably go on and each video is going to be like 40 or 50 minutes, you know. So this video didn't even have a timer, so it was 31 minutes long, you know, reviewing the 4 seasons of this show. And I'm going to be redoing it today, hopefully a little better, you know, better quality, better format, you know. True to remake form, I am wearing a black shirt today, you know. I'm wearing the same black shirt that I was wearing when I did the video the first time, so let's just get right into it. Today I'm going to be reviewing 13 Reasons Why, you know, which is a series that debuted back in 2017 and follows the story of Hannah Baker, who is a high school student that ultimately and tragically decides to take her own life after a series of traumatic events in her personal life, you know. And she leaves behind a series of 13 cassettes that I believe are double-sided, you know, telling each side explaining about a specific person and why that person drove her to kill herself, you know, 13 different reasons. It was actually based on a book 10 years prior in 2007, the same name, 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher, you know. And why it took so long for this to be made into a TV show, I don't know. If it needed to have a TV show, I don't know if they could have put this into a movie, you know. But the thing is that there were 4 seasons in this show, and honestly, the 13 Reasons Why is a true test of, you know, resilience, man, or rather subverting expectations, because the first season was very critically acclaimed and for good reason. It was just amazing, you know, setting up all of the main characters, Hannah, her suicide, flashbacks to when she was alive, you know, introducing all of the main characters. It was just amazing. Season 2 dealt with her family suing the district, you know, and the school to try to get justice for her suicide, because apparently the counselors, the adults, nobody seeked to help her, you know. Pretty good too. It was actually really nice. I did enjoy the second season. The third season will go down in history as being probably the most notorious example of a TV show not knowing where the hell it was going. Like, they completely forgot what made the first 2 seasons so good. The third season was way too confusing, you know. They brought in a new character that didn't make any sense. They killed off one of the older characters, you know. Just didn't make a lot of sense, man. Everything was so desaturated and weird. It was depressing. It's like 300. Then the 4th season was a little better, you know. They kind of recuperated their form a bit, but it was still a very, very confusing final few episodes there, you know. But in general, I mean, it wasn't the worst show I've ever seen, I can definitely tell you that, but also not the best. I'm going to be getting into that, you know. It might get a little long because I have a lot to digest. So before I continue, let's take a look at a clip here, maybe from season 1 right now before we continue.
Settle in, because I'm about to tell you the story of my life. More specifically, why my life ended. And if you're listening to this tape, you're one of the reasons why.
This is a wild game of survival.
Okay, so 13 reasons, 13 different people that drove Hannah to kill herself, including herself, you know. I don't remember a lot of their names, so I'm going to read directly from the cheat sheet here. We have Justin Foley, Jessica Davis, Alex Standall, Tyler Down, Courtney Crimson. What the hell just happened here? Okay, we have Justin Foley, Jessica Davis, Alex Standall, Tyler Down, Courtney Crimson, Marcus Cole, Zach Dempsey, Ryan Shaver, Sherry Holland, Clay Jensen, who is kind of like the side main character and was her best friend before she died, Hannah herself, Bryce Walker, who's like the main antagonist, and also Kevin Porter, who was a school guidance counselor. Now, throughout the first season, as she explains who these people are and how they are responsible for her untimely suicide, we see flashbacks from her perspective showing exactly what happened and what caused this downward spiral to make her not want to be alive anymore. And I actually think it's very well fleshed out. The acting in the first season is just phenomenal, you know, like the art direction, the themes, the subject matter, the way they handled it. There was a little bit of criticism directed towards the way that they showed like the suicide and they glamorized it or something. I don't think that was the case at all, you know. I do believe Netflix cut out the suicide scene that was there originally. You know, it actually does show Hannah doing it in the bathtub, you know. But so each single did I mention, by the way, this other guy who was where's this other dude? Tony Padilla. He wasn't on the tapes. Okay, so Tony Padilla is also one of the main characters, but okay, he's friends with Clay, you know. So the first season establishes the characters as being pretty close, you know, they are friends. And then we see the fall from grace that Hannah endures, you know. At first, it's a shock to everybody when Clay starts listening to the tapes, you know, he's actually ninth on the tape. And then we see, you know, glimpses into the past of what happened and how these people affected Hannah negatively. And it's really well written, you know. To me, it was very well executed. I love the way that the first season played out. To me, it was just very impressive and I liked it a lot, you know. Like, the directing was just amazing, and the producers, the screenwriters, everybody got every detail right. If I were to give this entire series a rating based on the first season alone, it would be a perfect and flawless 10 out of 10, you know. But unfortunately, there are 4 seasons that represent this thing and we got to get through all of them. So establishing what happened and showing who these characters are. We have Bryce, who is essentially, he is a serial rapist and he serves as the main antagonist for the first 2 seasons, you know. You don't really forgive somebody for this. If you missed my last video talking about unforgiveness, you know, you don't just forgive somebody easily for this kind of thing, you know. And he actually raped several girls, you know. A few we actually see on screen. One of them was Jessica, then later Hannah herself, you know. But because he's from a rich family whose parents never around, he's a football player, a baseball player, everybody loves him, you know, so he can pretty much get away with everything, you know. So he has the habit of drugging girls unconscious, you know, and raping them against their will. I mean, even his own girlfriend at one point, who I believe was Chloe. So it was tough. It was tough, you know. It was really hard to watch some of the scenes there. But the first season to me was just absolutely amazing. Did very well to establish the backstory in Hannah Baker herself, you know. And as the episodes go on, we see more and more of how her psyche was deeply affected by this, you know. People who she thought were her friends or boys who were flirting with her. Justin was the very first one because they dated for a while, but then he humiliated her, you know, spread around a photo of her showing her panties coming down a slide, so he was the first one. Then there was Zach, who served as like a shoulder for her to cry on, you know. So every single one of the characters served a purpose, you know. I'm not going to get into every single one because if I'm going to talk about 13 different characters, the reasons for why they made Hannah want to die, then this video is going to get longer than the original 30 or so minute one. So let's just skip ahead and see a scene now from the second season.
You don't know what was happening in this photo. And you don't know what happened after.
We're all in this together now.
Don't you know about what goes on at this school?
This is proof of who they all are.
The truth doesn't always make things right.
It's gonna keep happening. It doesn't stop.
Now, you see, a lot of people talk smack about season 2, you know, but in my opinion, like, it showed that the screenwriters knew what they were working with, you know. It was a very good follow-up to everything that happened in the first season because it not only shows the fallout, you know, like the effects and the toll that it took on everybody involved with Hannah's suicide, but also her family sued the school district, you know, for negligence. So we see scenes in the courtroom and people testifying this and that, you know, and it's actually really well done. It's not like boring courtroom talk and drama, you know. It was actually very well scripted, just as well executed, and I actually liked it a lot, you know. And it shows a little bit more backstory. Clay starts hallucinating and seeing Hannah. You know, apparently she's talking to him. It's like the ghost of her, you know. There's a very nice song that plays in the background, which is, I think, The Ghost of You, something like that, by this, I forgot the artist and the name of the song, but it's really addictive. I really like that song, you know. And we would later find out that this is kind of like a prelude to what happens in the later season, where Clay literally starts to hallucinate, you know. But anyway, so the second season really works well to establish this. It shows the effect it had on her parents as well. Hannah's mother was absolutely devastated, and she fought as hard as she possibly could to get justice for her daughter, you know. It is found out that Bryce, you know, sexually assaulted her. He is arrested. He does testify. At first he's found not guilty, but then he's arrested again. A whole bunch of things happen, you know. And throughout all of this, we see how other characters behave. Tyler was he is a photographer at the school, you know, and he unfortunately takes this to an illogical extreme. He takes very revealing photos of people doing bad things, you know, students, so he publicizes them. The Hannah tapes, her suicide tapes, were actually leaked online, which is why everybody found out in the first place, you know. Tyler was a big part of this because he would share photos of her, you know, and this and that. He basically wasn't an okay guy. Then I think he goes to like a rehab center to recuperate. He shaves his head completely, you know. I do believe that he shaves before this next scene happens. He is actually raped by Monty, who is a closeted homosexual and an athlete, a friend of Bryce, you know. In the bathroom, he slams his head against the glass and then shoves a broom up his butt several times, you know. So it's traumatizing. At the end of this season, Tyler brings guns to the school and he's gonna go on a mass shooting, you know. We're talking like, you know, it's almost like Columbine Massacre style, you know. So, but luckily Clay is able to talk him out of it, because he would have killed many students at the dance or the prom, whatever it was, you know. So the character dynamics are very strong for each one, except for Alex and Jessica. I personally do not like those two characters at all. I just think they're way too annoying, and I don't know if it's the characters or the actors who portray them. They just piss the hell out of me, man. I really don't like them at all. You know, like my favorite character in the series, it's a very controversial opinion, is Bryce, you know. And it says a lot when the primary antagonist has more essence and development than all of the other characters combined, you know. Except for, of course, Hannah and Clay. Clay is kind of like a douche sometimes. He's not really my favorite. I prefer Tony, you know, who we do later find out is also gay. This series really plays around a lot with homosexuality and those kinds of things, you know. Very nice themes. So the second season was pretty cool as well. And now, before we get to the third one, we are going to take a look at a clip from the third season right now.
May I have your attention, please? We received some extremely sad news from the Evergreen County Sheriff. Bryce Walker was found and has been confirmed dead.
And now we get to the dreaded third season of 13 Reasons Why. This, in my opinion, is where the show draws a lot of its criticism from. So much of the negative feedback from myself as well is directed towards the third season, because after the first two, my expectations were really high, but at the same time I was like, okay, well, what exactly can they do? Where can they go from here, you know? What would be the next logical step, you know? But I was curious to find out. Immediately, right in the first episode, I saw that everything was very grayscale and, like, not grayscale, but desaturated. Everything seemed very melodramatic and depressing, you know. There was a very low color palette for the current moments, but then in the flashbacks, everything was okay again, you know. Everything was in color, everybody was rich in contrast or what have you, you know. Basically what happens is that Bryce dies, his body is found in a river, but nobody knows who did it. So basically the entire season is about the people who were on the tapes trying to figure out what the hell happened, you know. Like the tagline for season 3 could be, "Who killed Bryce Walker?" you know, like because that's pretty much what it is. However, we do see flashbacks leading up to his death, and the one good thing about season 3 is the attempt at giving Bryce a redeeming arc, you know, like trying to give him some redemption, you know, because what he did was unforgivable. He raped many girls, which already is an unforgivable act in and out of itself. One of the girls that he raped went on to commit suicide, you know, and Chloe, who was his girlfriend at the time, was pregnant with his child, you know. She had to get an abortion, so I can't really imagine Bryce as a father anyway. So the point is, he goes to a different school. He goes to live with his mom in a different city, you know, in a boarding school, a fancy prep school. But everybody knows what he did, so he does suffer a little bit of bullying himself, you know. The boys don't like him. They trip him in the hallway. They don't want to play sports with him, you know, even though he's a pretty good athlete. So he is already shunned by the school, and now he starts to spend more time with his mom, you know, and then they try to do yoga together, and he breaks down crying all of a sudden, you know. We see that Bryce truly, deeply regrets what he did. I do believe either in this season, I'm pretty sure it's in season 3, where he even records like a podcast of sort, no, a tape. He actually does record a tape to Jessica, one of the girls that he raped back in season 1, apologizing, you know, and it's a very moving speech. And I will say again that what's his name? Matthew something, hold on, Justin Prentice, you know, he really carried season 3, man, because to me, honestly, he was the best actor there in the entire series, you know. So, and he played such a great villainous role that it was really hard to see him as anything else but Bryce, you know. So aside from that, it showed him being vulnerable and fragile, reaching out to people that he hurt, you know, back in school, and trying to apologize and making amends, you know. I do believe at one point he even offers to buy Tony's car, because Tony is actually illegal, so are his parents, you know, something of the sort. Bryce does offer to help. He's trying to make amends. He's trying to, you know, pay for his mistakes. But of course, people are very, you know, hard to forgive related to this, you know, and especially Hannah's mom. He does try to apologize to Hannah's mom at one point, but she's just not having it. After he dies, his own mom, you know, talks to Hannah's mom, and it's like it's actually really interesting and in-depth conversation. It does get emotional. We are introduced to a new character called Annie Anchola, or I was about to say Annie Anchovy. What the hell is that girl's name? Annie Achola, you know. I believe that her mother serves as the caretaker or the maid in Bryce's mom's house, you know, and that's how he meets Annie, who's always there with her mom, and they actually have sex a few times. They are attracted to each other, but then I guess she kind of serves as a Foley for him to forget his menacing ways back in the past, you know. It's actually a very well explored relationship, but dude, honestly, I barely remember anything that happened in season 3 because it's a blur to me. You know, it's a blur. Season 3 is like a blur in my head because it was so confusing that I guess my brain forced me to forget it, you know. But the focus was pretty much completely, near completely taken off of Hannah Baker and the suicide, you know. Zach becomes a douche. He attacks Bryce and breaks his leg in retaliation for him breaking his leg in a previous season playing football, you know. And then Alex is the one who tries to help Bryce up, but he starts threatening Zach, so he kind of like lets him fall into the water with a broken leg and a broken arm, so he can't swim, so he very quickly drowns, and we find out that that's who killed Bryce, you know. But trying to redeem the primary antagonist was a very good attempt in my opinion. I thought it went really well, you know. It was nice, but that's all I can say about season 3 because that's pretty much all I remember, okay? It's just I don't even want to remember any more details if they're even there in my brain somewhere. So if you haven't seen 13 Reasons Why, I'm just letting you know that season 3 sucks. Let's watch a clip from the 4th season so we can just get into that already. Go.
I look at you, Clay, and I see a kid who's paying a very high price. And I don't yet know what for. I suspect it might be for secrets you keep.
Please, let me out!
Now, like I said before, you know, season 4 was kind of like the conclusion, you know, it kind of like tried a little bit to build up on the disaster that was season 3, you know, but because my head was still reeling from season 3 itself, I don't remember much about season 4. We did get introduced to a few new recurring characters, you know, and by the way, Justin, who was at one point, you know, he had a bad relationship with his parents, you know, and he was kind of like the enemy and friends with Bryce. He eventually turned on Bryce and became friends with Clay, and also he became his foster brother because his parents adopted Justin, you know, to help pay for school, you know, and medical bills because he had some issues, you know, with substance abuse and drugs and whatnot. So Clay and Justin are living together. They are essentially adopted brothers, you know, and at this point in the timeline, aside from Hannah Baker from the suicide, because season 3 happened 8 months after season 2, and I don't know how much longer after that season 4 started, you know, but I don't think it was too long afterwards, you know, but anyway, that's actually completely irrelevant. So at this point in the timeline, Hannah is dead, so is Bryce, and also Monty. Monty was arrested for the rape, I do believe it was the rape of Tyler, you know, with the broom, and he was actually killed in prison after coming out as gay, you know. His own father spit on him, you know. He actually has a relationship with Winston. Can I say this on YouTube? They blow each other. Is that appropriate? I don't know. It's not cursing. So, you know, so Monty is officially outed as gay, you know. He is killed in prison, but they kind of gloss over that. And now Clay officially has mental health issues, you know. He has problems that he can't really assimilate, you know. He doesn't really know what the hell is going on. And he does start to hallucinate a lot, you know. It seems like Justin is the normal one compared to him, you know. It's really crazy. And at this point, all of the kids are nearing graduation, so they're doing college interviews off campus, you know, trying to figure out what they're gonna do in the future, because it's crazy, dude, you know. The way that the season is wrapped up, the series, like season 4 was better than season 3, but not by a lot. It's not that it was confusing, it was actually pretty straightforward and easier to follow completely by itself. When you stop to think that it was actually building on the other 3 seasons, it seems completely nonsensical, you know. It's a very strange season, I'll give it that, and it's just very hard to follow. It's a little hard to follow, but it does make a lot more sense. Jessica has like joined this group now of anti-rape girls who were raped in the past, and they all hate men, but she's kind of like in this very strange on and off relationship with Justin where he let her be raped by Bryce and she doesn't forgive him, but at the same time she doesn't want to leave him, and this and that, and I really don't like Jessica at all. I don't know if it's the actress or the character, but I have never liked Jessica since season 1, you know. Alex even more so. I think Alex tried to kill himself. He tried to shoot himself in the head, but apparently missed, but it somehow shot his brain because now he's like half paralyzed. I don't know, man, and I do not care. Everything is just so dumb, you know. I was actually glad when it was finally over because it's like I don't have to deal with this crap anymore, you know. We do see a little bit of the character dynamics between Clay and Justin, you know. They do get along much better now. Pretty much everybody has forgotten about Hannah Baker at this point. The focus I'm pretty sure in season 4 her name isn't even mentioned, you know. Everything is about graduating, getting through everything, and by the time that season 4 rolls around, you just want the whole thing to end, which I did. And I don't even remember anything else, man, you know. Clay is trying to deal with the issues there, you know, and the school has kind of shunned him, you know. I think there's a riot at one point that he kind of starts or insinuates, I don't really know. People are trying to glorify Monty, but he's actually a rapist, and Clay tries to out him, you know. Basically, that's how it works. I don't remember a lot of the season. I just know that it's like sucked, you know. So, like 13 Reasons Why from the first all the way to the 4th season is such a crazy journey that by the end you don't even think you're watching the same show, man. Just like, okay, you know what? Season 4 sucks, and I'm not gonna keep racking my brain trying to remember details here, dude. Now, at this point, I'm all out of clips to show. There are no more seasons, so I'm just gonna wrap it up here, you know. Of course, the release of the actual show itself, you know, did raise public concern among the suicide contingent members, you know, because it did show a lot of themes that could be, you know, risky to people with suicidal thoughts, you know, because this show deals with a few different kinds of how can I say, different themes, not limited, including but not limited to teen suicide, self-harm, rape, and bullying, you know. And there is graphic content, you know. There is, like, this show doesn't pull punches when it comes to showing these themes, you know, among others. So researchers and medical professionals argue that the series, this is quoted directly from the source here, violated guidelines for depicting suicide in the media and thought that it might trigger imitative behaviors among high school students and those who are vulnerable to it, you know. So I can understand that, you know, I can understand that, like, because fiction has a very strong impact on people, you know. We know that it's not real, but it can really influence us to do good or bad things, you know. Very similar to how playing the Doom games influenced two teenagers to commit mass shooting in their school in Columbine in the late 90s, you know. So I understand, you know, but I think that if you're able to, like, but I think that at the beginning of every episode or every season, you know, the actors come on screen showing you how it's that it's just a work of fiction, and if you need help, you could call a suicide hotline. You know, don't take all of these things to heart. It's just a work of fiction. And the show at the end of every episode does include the suicide hotline. So they seem to be very cautious. You know, I like the show, but because of the last two seasons, especially season 3. If I were to give 13 Reasons Why a rating, it would probably be 7 out of 10, you know? Because I'm not all the way down to 6 because the 2 seasons sucked, 3 and 4, but they didn't bog it down ultimately. The first 2 were amazing, you know? So I really like them. So I don't think it's fair to give the show too low of a rating just because 2 seasons weren't that good, even if they did correspond to half of the entire series, you know? I actually liked it a lot, you know? And, if you guys happen to watch it, let me know what you thought, if you thought it dealt with the subject matter delicately or not, you know, or what you thought about all of the seasons in general. I'm really curious because people who I talk to about this show who've seen it have mixed opinions, so I really want to know what my subscribers think. If you haven't seen it and you still watch this video, you are an absolute legend. You really want to help my channel grow because you gave yourself a lot of spoilers and willingly so. So thank you for your support if you have given it to me here. And I think that's it, guys. I gotta get going because my battery, I see there in my little visor, my battery is running low, so maybe I won't even make it to the outro. That's why I'm rushing at the end here. So let's see if I can get the outro done here. Okay, don't forget to comment what you thought about the show. If you happen to like this video, please go ahead and give it a like and also subscribe to my channel because I release videos every single day. While you're at it, you really should also hit the notification bell too to know exactly what time I upload. And that's it, guys. I think that's it. This is Chazzy signing out for now. I have 13 reasons to sign out now. One of them is the low battery. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Roll the outro screen.
Everyone is just so nice until they drive you to kill yourself. And sooner or later, the truth will come out.
This is a wild game of survival.